What's going on, everybody? So I actually picking up this video right after I left off the last 540 episode. So we are literally right seconds later. So we are ready now to put on the clutch, the flywheel, and the pressure plate. So I got my resurfaced dual mass here. I went over in the last video. Got this resurfaced by a professional shop who did a great job. Resurface both sides like you need to, or both surfaces like you need to, because there's a relationship there. So I cleaned it up with brake clean, get all the oil that he put on there so it didn't rust off. Now we got that, we got the Luke kit. We're gonna go ahead and bolt those on, and then we are ready to put this trans up finally. And then after that, I'm gonna rush through everything else. We gotta do the drive shaft CSB, put all the linkage back in, put the mounts back in. I'm gonna go through all that stuff real quick, and then we're gonna go take this thing for a drive and see how all the new stuff sounds. See if it shifts better, see if it sounds better. Hopefully the new fluid stops it from whining. Guys, remember in the last episode, the trans was completely dry, so fingers crossed. I've read stories about how people put these flywheels on and don't actually take note of which hole is the one for the dowel here, and then the timing marks are off, so the engine won't run. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I remember which is which. I'm gonna mark it with a Sharpie. Then I'm gonna put the thread locker on, and then we're gonna put this thing up. And there we have it. The clutch, pressure plate, and flywheel are all done on there, Loctited, torqued down to spec. Luckily, this clutch actually said gearbox side and flywheel side, which is nice. Usually they're, in my experience, they haven't been labeled, but that makes all the difference when they're labeled. So we are all set now. We are ready to get that trans up. I'm nervous for this just because getting a trans up without a trans jack is gonna be a pain in the ass. So it'll probably be a lot of failures. I'm gonna try to set up the camera the best angle I can to see it. But yeah, we're ready. And we got the transmission in. So I time-lapsed me putting it up, but I didn't time-lapse me doing all the bell housing bolts because I didn't want to bore you guys because you can't see anything. Got all the bolts in. It's all in. Out of all the trans I've done on my back in the garage, this one probably went in, I'd say probably the easiest. It lined up right off the bat. I had to wiggle it a little bit, adjust the height a little bit, but having the jack like this with the wheels like this so that I could always kind of go back and forth was exactly what I needed. So with that, she's in, and now I am getting the linkage ready. So I wasn't going to, but I had a brand new one of these white like cups that it articulates in. I had one of those, so I replaced that. I replaced the rubber oval bushing here. So then I'm gonna put the rod back in. This is ready to go in. So this is the old white one, and then this is the old rubber. Usually I don't really notice much like wear in those, but there was in fact a pretty decent amount of wear between the like just going like this with that white thing. I don't know how that wears out, but it does, so I'm glad I did that. But so all the shifter stuff will be new now except for the carrier bushing, but I don't think it does that much. So got the trans brace with the new mounts in. We got all the linkage in. I had to re-grease the joints here because it didn't articulate very well. Grease that. It feels really tight, shifts really nice. Yeah, so we're all set. Everything's hooked up. We just got to do the drive shaft, and then once that's in, then just the exhaust, and we're ready to go. Oh, I got to bleed the slave as well, bleed the clutch. I need someone to help me with that. So, all right, I finally have time to get back to work on this car. Been really busy with school, but we're almost there. Finals week coming up. So after that, I promise you guys, we're going back to 2 videos a week, maybe even 3. I got tons of ideas, tons of content lined up for you guys. We're gonna hit it hard. This is gonna be the summer. We're gonna go crazy. I'm gonna be the BMW source on YouTube for old BMWs. But anyway, we're back to work on the 540. So I just had my sister help me bleed the clutch. thanks to her. So the clutch is bled. Ever since the mishap on the E30 where I put the clutch in backwards, and that little test where you put the car in gear, make sure you can't spin the trans, you shouldn't be able to. Push the clutch in, you should be able to spin it. So I did that test, it works. So the clutch is engaging as it should. That's a good little test for you guys to try to make sure that your clutch is in there right and everything's working. We gotta split the drive shaft. There's obviously the bolt there. What I'm gonna do is you wanna mark it. So I've heard different things. I've heard that these are balanced individual. I've heard they're not. Everyone always says to mark it. So what I did was, I usually just use like a Sharpie, but it ends up being really hard to see. So I cut a piece of paper with a slit in it, and then I got gold spray paint. So I'm gonna lay this like this, and then just spray paint. And it'll look stupid, but who cares how it looks. So I'm gonna do that, mark this real quick, and then we're gonna split this bad boy. So now that I've done it, I realize that I don't think that was that smart. I mean, I guess like that'll line up, but it's a pretty wide spread, wider than I want it to be. So the paper, you know, I couldn't get it firm. You know, is that a good idea? I doubt it. That was honestly kind of just stupid. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark it with a Sharpie still. So now I have 2 markings. I don't know. I thought I was smart with that, but not really. So it's a 19, and then what I like to do is get a pipe wrench and hold the drive shaft from spinning with the pipe wrench. These work pretty good for this. So yeah, that was easy. Kinda pry, oh man, easy. Finish off being easy, I guess. There we go. All right, beautiful. That was really nice how easy that came undone. That's always kind of hard to get off of the bearing there. But it looks like this was all kind of anti-seize the last time, so that's probably why it was so easy to do. But as you guys can see here, that is why my car was thumping like crazy when I would rev it out. So, over a couple days later, I wrapped everything up. I got the car down, running again. Haven't gotten to drive it, but as you guys can probably hear in the background, and you guys will hear shortly here, I'm already not too excited. I'm already expecting the worst. So I put the car up in the air with no exhaust, went through the gears, sounded kind of whiny. But now you guys can probably hear right now. If you get down here, so you hear that, right? Put the clutch in, and it goes away. Out, in, out, in. And you can kind of hear once I push in, you hear it slow down, and then it stops making noise. So we probably don't even need to really drive it to know how this went. It's looking like it might not have been a success, but we're gonna go for that drive anyway. We're gonna see. I actually have the GoPro set up on my door so I can get you guys some actual outside clips and see how it sounds. So if it whines, like I'm sure it will. So I'm gonna start that now, and then we're gonna take this thing for a little spin. The exhaust leak is fixed, so that makes me excited. I'm happy about that, but I can't feel good about this job until I learn if it's shot or not. Right off the bat though, the car shifts like butter. 3 and 4 are still a little bit sticky, but all the other gears are really nice. I've never replaced all the bushings on a shifter. Like, it feels good with all fresh bushings. It's solid, not a ton of play. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. The clutch pedal, super soft. It engages like, you don't even really feel it engage. I guess it feels kind of, I don't know. I'm so used to like single mass flywheels now and stuff that I feel like stuff like this and it makes me like nervous, but I guess it's just a soft clutch because resurfaced dual mass. So initially I thought that this noise was the dual mass, something messed up, but I put a stethoscope up to it. It's definitely coming from inside the trans. So let's go for that ride and let's see what we hear. Yeah. Not loving it. Not loving it one bit. yeah, so I'm not thrilled. It is clearly, the no fluid has clearly taken its toll on this transmission. It's fried. I put the GoPro clip in there. Hopefully I put it so that the wind wasn't, you know, overwhelming, but it sounds miserable. I almost want to go out and say that it sounds worse than when there was no fluid in it, which to me doesn't make sense. But, you know, I don't know all the inner workings of that car and all that stuff. The trans got used to no fluid, it wore, and whatever goes bad first with no fluid, it has gone bad, and it is crying for help. So, all the gears grown except for fifth. Fifth does not whine. If you hop in the forums, you kind of learn that a lot of cases with like bad transmissions, fifth doesn't whine. I don't know why that is. Fifth is the overdrive gear. I don't know if that has something to do with like the synchros or what. Some people probably know more than me about that. I'll probably do more research, but yeah, so fifth doesn't whine, but all the other gears whine. Only when you're accelerating, when you're kind of coasting to a stop, there is no whine, which could be another clue as to what is wrong in the transmission. Do I care? Not really. I'm not gonna rebuild a transmission. It just sucks, man. It pisses me off. That whole job, all that work, detents, all the trans seals, all that just to put it back in and learn that it is fried. Obviously, you know, going into the job, I knew that there was a risk, you know, seeing that there was no fluid. And if it was a widely available transmission, or not even widely available, even something as much as available as a ZF from a M50 car, or a ZF from a not an M50 car, but you know, a six-cylinder car, or a Getrag from an E30. Those things, you know, they're not hard. They're not easy to find, but they're not hard to find. The ZF with the V8 bell housing is not really something you can find easily at all. Looking like that car is just gonna need a whole new transmission. Could I send it on the trans? Yes, and I probably will until I find one. Like, I'm not gonna go like way out of my way to get one. When the time comes, the time comes. In the meantime, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it would last, you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's just something is just worn that doesn't want to be worn. But other than that, it drives really nice. So, yeah, I'll send it on it for now. And before I do put the final nail in the coffin, what I am gonna do, since it's between a new trans and $20 worth of fluid, I'm actually gonna get the car back up in the air, and I got a lot of other maintenance to do with it, so I'll do that, and I'll record that maintenance as we do it. But when it's up in the air, I'm actually gonna drain the fluid, so I'm gonna flush it, get all the wear metals that are probably in there out, and then I'm gonna go to auto parts store and get the thickest fix a whiny transmission fluid they sell. Like, I think there's like transmission honey, whatever. So these call for ATF, as you know, the ZFs, but I'm gonna put some gear oil in there. I'm gonna put some thick gear oil, like 75, 90, 80, 90, whatever. I'm gonna put some thick stuff in there. I'm gonna put additives in there, and I'm gonna see if by somehow the grace of God, it quiets it down. Just, you know, for now, that'd be really nice if it does, because it's honestly it's more embarrassing than anything else. The car drives good, it shifts good, but it's embarrassing, dude. Like, you can't even drive it around like a neighborhood. All you hear is just whine. It sounds like it has like straight cut gears. Yeah, I'm bummed out. Like, this car was supposed to be done. I was supposed to fit the wheels on it, get the body panels, get the roof painted. I got the interior cleaned up already. If you guys remember from the, I filmed this, but I don't think I'm gonna use it in anything. So, the passenger seat was torn, the back seat was torn, and it was missing the rear deck. So from that black winter beater car that I got back, I took all those things and replaced them. So the interior of this car is super nice now. I gotta get windows retinted and stuff. Oh, and not only the trans, but for some reason, the clunk that I told you guys was the center support bearing, like when you floor it in first or second, is still there. The drive shaft still thuds when you give it a flooring, and then it evens out and stops. So something's wrong with the drive shaft, either the U-joint, the CV, or it could just be unbalanced. I don't know, I've never really had one that does this. But when I find a trans, I'll probably go ahead and take the drive shaft to a drive shaft shop. I could 6-speed swap this and make it a true 540 6-speed, but first off, finding the 6-speed with the drive shaft is nearly impossible. Second off, I gotta do all the rear subframe stuff because I need a large case diff, which means bigger axles, which means I think the subframe mounts are different, so I think it would end up being an entire thing, which I just don't have the willpower to do for this car. This car was supposed to be like my nice like replacement E34, just to kind of have fun in, and it's turning into a freaking task and a half. There's so much to do to this car. It was so neglected, dude. It makes you mad at the freaking guy that owned this before me, dude. Like, to let a car get this bad is insane. This car had articles on it 4 or 5 years ago when it was for sale, $8,000. Mint. The paint was mint, the interior was mint. 60,000 miles on this M60. I think I have the paperwork. It's got like 60 or 70K on it. The chassis only got 130K, and the car is just ruined. I've had a lot of E34s that need a lot of work, but this one is up there. Doing more things. Then we're gonna be fitting wheels on this thing while we're looking for a trans in the background. So I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the late upload. Busy week with school finals. So yeah, I'll see you guys.